Hello, and welcome to today's pause. I'd like us to begin today, as usual, by getting really comfortable in our seat. So find yourself in a seated position, unless you're out walking or unless you've got me in your ears, and that's okay. But wherever you are, let's just get really kind of grounded and settled and find ourselves in this place where we can just be at ease, be supported by that which is supporting us. And once you're there, close your eyes, unless of course you're walking or driving, and we'll take a few breaths. Take a nice few breaths together. Big inhale, long, slow exhale. Big inhale, long, slow exhale. And our time together in the pause is a place where you can stay with your eyes closed and just settle in. It doesn't ask anything more of you, just to be and just to be here. And I always bring to this pause together this bit of contemplation to bring your mind back to the present and not kind of off to your next to-do list or the next thing on your to-do list, or replaying a conversation that you had earlier today. Just to be present. And so today, I wanted to ask you a question. And you can answer it now or you can answer it later. You can just kind of let it ruminate in the background. But it's based on something that I've really been being aware of. It's something I've always kind of had in my awareness, but something that's really come up for me many times over the past week. And so this question that I pose to you today is, have you ever noticed that your best ideas rarely arrive or rarely come to you when you're really staring hard at a problem? Because mine certainly don't. They tend to show up in, sometimes when I'm for a walk or when I'm working in the yard or driving home, in the shower. Sometimes when I'm sitting quietly after yoga or a Pilates. And sometimes it happens when I'm working on something completely unrelated to the problem I'm trying to solve. And there was a time when I thought that was just a coincidence, something that just happened. I didn't know if it happened to anybody else. It happened to me, but I really did think that it was just a coincidence. It's just kind of how things worked for me. But now I'm not so sure. I actually think something else is happening. And over this past week, I've been really contemplating or thinking a lot about perspective. In fact, last week's pause video, I explored that idea of how stress changes our view, changes how we see things. It actually narrows our perspective, and it can convince us that there are obstacles in our way, and when in reality, possibilities may just be kind of beyond our view. This week, I'm asking a little bit of a different question. Because if it narrows our perspective, how do we widen it again? How do we remove the blockers or the Coke bottle lenses that change our perception? And here's what I think. It's not by trying harder. It's not by thinking harder. It's not by forcing an answer. It's not by doing more. It's actually by creating enough calm in our minds that there's room to notice something new. And that's why I feel like this pause, I know that this pause is so important, because, I'm sharing here and I'm giving you a contemplation, but the pause itself doesn't create the insight. The pause creates the conditions where the insight and when the insight can actually appear. And there's a big difference. Over the past couple weeks, I've really noticed, I noticed these little moments. For example, a heart-shaped cloud that appeared after a busy day when I just happened to look up at the sky. Time that I took in an outdoor Pilates class. Conversations I've been having with my treatment clients, and conversation with women who are navigating major life transitions. And each one of these situations, or each one of these incidents, maybe seem unrelated until I stepped back. And suddenly I could see the whole forest, not just the trees. One conversation had me thinking differently about our shoulders. For example, we often say that they're tight. They're tight, they're always tight. That's just the way it is. But what if our shoulders are actually protecting us? Another conversation made me realize that a new project I've been working on, where I thought I was creating an organizing or a systems service, but then people started telling me their stories about retirement and downsizing and caregiving, those life transitions, feeling alone. And I realized that it was never about organizing. It was about walking beside somebody through change. And none of those insights arrived because I was sitting at my desk trying to write an email, trying to write a program, trying to do a video, for example. They didn't come to me because I was trying to manufacture them. They arrived because I had created enough space to hear them. And maybe that's something we all need to remember. When we're overwhelmed, when we've got a lot on the go, our instinct is to push harder, to push through it. We're seeking the end. The end is the clarity. The end is the light. The end is the ease. So our instinct is to push through it, to push harder, to work longer, to search for answers. But perhaps the answer isn't hiding from us. Perhaps it simply needs enough quiet to be noticed. And that's why I believe calm is so much more than just feeling relaxed. Calm creates perspective. Calm creates perspective. And perspective creates clarity. And clarity allows us to see the path that might have just been there all along. So this week, rather than trying to force a solution, trying to solve every problem, I'd like to invite you to do something a little different. Just create the conditions for perspective, create the condition where clarity has the room to arrive. And you might already be saying that's easier said than done, Kim. My life is very busy, and I totally get it. Yes, you are busy. Life is busy, busy, busy. And so just like when we come together here for the pause, I want to give you the sense of relief that comes by knowing that calm, or creating the conditions for calm, creating the conditions for clarity, doesn't have to be this massive change. It doesn't have to be everything around you and the whole world and the situation to be different for you to find it. It happens in a moment. Take a short walk. Sit in your garden. Make a cup of tea. Just step away from your screen. Take a breath, look up. And not because those things are the answer. They're just things. They're just actions. But because they can create the space where the answer might just find you. So thank you for taking the pause with me today. And I hope it helps you see your week and perhaps even yourself just a little more clearly. So until next time, my friend, you can linger here, linger in your pause for just a little bit longer. Enjoy. And until next time, take good care. Namaste.